Will O'Donnell, welcome to the Financial Freedom Fast podcast, my good friend. What is going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Excited and living fun lives. We both are here. Will and I actually met. What was this, last weekend or last week? Something like that. We were snowboarding with a networking group that we're a part of. And Will is new in that group. And man, I was just blown away by what I've heard that he's built up for himself at the same age as me, actually, 25 years old. So, Will, what have you built up? What is your investment portfolio?
Yeah, man, I appreciate that, by the way. So, right now, I have 41 doors that I own and, for the most part, manage. And so, yeah, that's the real estate portfolio that I have right now.
And those doors, when you say doors, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, so in real estate, you could own a house, a single family home where just one family lives there. We call that a door. You could have multifamily apartment buildings. And so let's say you have a four family apartment building. Those are four doors. So each apartment, each dwelling or unit, I call them doors.
Yeah,
So we got
fantastic.
41 apartments where 41 separate families live.
And that's across multifamily property, single family, like a mixture of everything.
Yeah, it's a mixture for the most part, mostly multifamily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what has that created for you in your life? So passive income wise, what does that bring to you every single month?
Yeah, so this portfolio, what it's been able to do for my family and I has it's just been exceptional because I started on this journey with the thought of just having 50 bucks a month of passive income. That was my goal. That's all I wanted when I started selling real estate at the age of 19 because
Did
I
you
thought
say
to
50?
myself,
I
50
missed
bucks
that.
is all I wanted.
$50. All right, keep going.
$50. Yeah, that's what I had in my mind, and I thought to myself, "What could I do to make $50 a month in my sleep?" I just wanted the taste of passive income,
Mm.
and so I thought to myself, $50 at the time I wasn't married, that's a date with a chick. So if I could go on one free date a month, that's all I wanted in life. Fast forward to today, that $50 is just about anywhere. It depends. Some months it's more, some months it's less, but on average around $8,000 at the age of 25. And so that
Wow.
income for my wife and I, it's we just had our first child. It's been able to pay the bills while I'm here home helping her out with our she's actually turning 4 months today. So it's just given us freedom for our family and so that we could spend quality time with each other doing the
Mm.
things that we desire instead of having to go to that 9 to 5 to pay the bills. So it's drastic.
Dude, crazy, man. 25 years old, $8,000 of passive income every single month that allowed you to free up some time and be able to spend it in areas in your life where you want to spend it. You want to foster a relationship with your wife. You want to raise your child and be there for her every single day. And it's allowed you to do that. Now, you also have some active income on the realtor side. What does that side of your life look like? Because you don't fully rely on your passive income right now, correct?
That's correct. So if you multiply 8 times 12, that comes out to be, if I'm not mistaken, $96,000 of income, which I could completely write off thanks to the IRS tax code. Aside from that, my other sources of income are, yeah, my real estate sales business, which has been generating consistently over the past 3, 4 years around 300 grand of real
Mm.
estate sales income. And then I do, whether it be a flip, a wholesale deal, or sell a property that I own. Additional income probably be anywhere between 100 to 150,000, and then miscellaneous probably be around 20, 30,000. So all in, I'll probably bring in about half a million bucks for the past couple of years
Wow.
in
So you've
income.
got this option to basically be done. You could live off of 96,000 a year, but you don't. You are involved in real estate sales, bringing in good money for you, wholesaling deals, doing all these different avenues and getting a little bit more income. What is the driver behind that? What keeps you from saying, I'm done. Let's go to a beach, let's hang around and just spend time with the fam?
That's a very interesting question. And I think it's always changing because, at least for me, because I remember the first year I made over 200 grand. My goal was to always make 50 grand coming out of high school. That was like the income to make with a bachelor's degree. That was the goal. That's what everybody wanted after they graduated. So I was like, you know what? I want to make 50 grand. Then I made 50 grand. I was like, that was easy in real estate sales. So I set a
Mm,
huge goal of 250,000 that year. I made around 200. I was 2021, and once I did it, I was like, what's next? Because I could have very easily gotten comfortable and done the same thing over again, or maybe taken it much easier. But I always upgraded my, not only just my goals or the number I wanted to focus on, but I upgraded what that meant to me. And what I
mm,
mean by that is, when I set a goal of wanting to make $750,000 or $1 million, what does that actually mean? What am I going to do with that money? And when I add something that's meaningful to that number, is
mm,
when it becomes more of a driving force for me to get it, to actually get it done, to make it happen. So this year I want to net $1 million or more. And I've done every that $1 million is tied to a list of things that I want to get done for this year. Of those things, I want to be able to get my grandma an apartment or a house, whether it's in New York or Florida, because she's losing her home right now and she's been stressing out about where she's going to live. And I find that when you have these things that you want to accomplish, not just for yourself, but for other people, it's like you don't want to let them down. So
mm,
now it's like this force that's pulling you to get it done because it's for somebody else. And when you do achieve that, that's going to bring you so much more joy than getting yourself a Porsche or
mm.
whatever it is that you told yourself you were going to get. So to answer your question, the driver for me is other people. It's helping my grandma, it's helping my mom, it's providing a certain lifestyle for my wife, for my daughter. That's what pushes me every day.
And have you always had this driver behind you? Have you been able to find that and know where to go? Or is this something that you recently tapped into within the last 5 years or so, 6 years, when you said you had that goal of making 50 grand? You did it so easy. And now you're like, oh, if I can do that, I could do anything. What did you have a driver back then? Or is this all some new psychological pulls that you've tapped into?
For me, it's cyclical. It's like sometimes there's this driver in me where it's just work, let's go super hard. And then there are seasons in my life where it's let me dedicate some more time to my family and chill out. Let me travel more. If I could get this consistent balance of the two, I think I'd be so much further in life than what I am right now, because it's just it's a struggle to find that balance between the two, because I know that if I just drive, I know I'm going to get worn out. I know I'm going
Mm,
to miss out on stuff with my family, and I'm just going to look back and be like, well, I worked my ass off, I made all this money, but for what? So I think it's finding that balance between the two, between chilling out and working your ass off. And I think it's different for everybody. What really screws with us nowadays, in my opinion, is social media. You see these guys making 10 million bucks. This guy's passive income
Mhm.
is 50,000 a month, 100,000 a month. That's the lifestyle they want for their families. For me, it may be a little different. So once I reach that, I may not go as hard as I was before. And I feel like I'm getting to that point where I definitely am not satisfied with 8 grand a month, but I'm only 25 years old. And I feel like if I just keep doing what I'm doing, I'm eventually going to get to a point where I'm going to be satisfied with it in due time. And life's short. I want to enjoy my daughter. I'm not going super crazy right now, but I try being in the office from 9 to 12 and then spending time with family at the same time.
Even pulling into with my dog barking here, that was one of the things that I wanted to do, was be able to spend more time with my dog, take her on walks, do all this stuff. And that's when you create this passive income, it gives you the ability to do what makes you happy. One thing that I tap into is this happiness matrix. What are the things that I'm doing every single day, and what is the happiness level that it's bringing me into my life? If I have something that I'm doing that's not bringing me happiness, why am I even doing it? And when you have financial freedom, when you have the flexibility to decide I don't want to do that anymore, it lets you look at things from this level of that doesn't make me happy. I'm not going to do that. Let me ask you, how has your perspective changed on money now that you're not really worried about it?
Yeah. I feel like when you have money and you're not and you're in a situation where you're comfortable, it's very easy to say, "Oh, money isn't everything." I heard that so much. When I was broke, I heard rich people all the time say, "Oh, money doesn't make you happier," or "money's not everything," or "live in the moment," and this and that. And yeah, for the most part, I agree with that. At the same time, I feel like we should live life in stages. Like, I personally believe our 20s should be the wealth accumulation stage. If you're 40 years old and you're a multimillionaire, it's very easy for you to say, yeah, money doesn't matter. Well, it doesn't to you because you have plenty of it. I think
Right.
the right advice for somebody in their 20s is, hey, worry about money now so that later you don't have to.
And that is realistically, that's what this podcast is all about. Financial Freedom Fast podcast. We're focusing on reaching financial freedom fast so you can create the life of your dreams that you want to live, and you can be able to actually live your life instead of being someone who has to go to work and has to wake up and shower and take the drive into work. It can give you these options to choose your life and choose what you do. So as someone who is younger, let's say someone's in our shoes, they're 24, 25 years old, but they haven't bought any assets. They haven't really even begun to think about financial freedom, but maybe this podcast spurs them into action. Where would you go? How would you start to build up passive income right now with the way the market is today? What would you suggest for a newbie coming?
That's a great question. And I would do exactly what I did first. And let me tell you what that was. So I helped my mom buy a house. But let's just say, for argument's sake, there's a 24-year-old, 25-year-old listening right now, has $0, zero connection, zero everything. Let's say you have a mom, you have a dad, you have an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, a good friend that has a property. So in my example, in my story, it was my mom. My mom had this house, she still has it, where it's a ranch and there's a breezeway, like this empty room. There was no siding. All it had was a roof and it had 2x4s on the side. It was just all open and the ground was just cement. It was on a slab. And that breezeway connected to a garage. So I made a deal with my mom. I said, "Hey mom, I'm going to take this space. I'm going to make improvements to it. I'm going to collect rent off of renting it out. And then once a 3 year term, a 5 year term is up, you get to keep it. You could rent it out. We'll split the profits, or you could rent it out, keep the whole thing. And at the end of the day, it's only going to benefit you because now your property is worth more. You get to keep the improvements I've made to your property. I just
Mm,
wanted the income for 3 years." Just throwing out a ballpark number. So now what you've done is you've grabbed somebody else's property. I found contractors, and I went to Home Depot. You could literally go to Home Depot and tell them you make $200,000, $100,000 a year. They don't verify it. They give you a 12-month credit card, 0% interest for 12 months for 20, 30, $40,000. I only needed $4,000. So I used $4,000 of that 0% interest credit card, bought all the materials to build a little studio apartment.
mm,
Found a contractor that did $6,000 worth of labor. He built me a bathroom, he built me a little kitchen, and in the middle was a sofa bed. That little studio apartment cost me $10,000 to build. It's renting out for $1,500 a month right now. So all you really needed in this example was $6,000 cash. And with my contractors, I make deals and tell them, "Hey, I'm going to pay you off monthly." You
mm,
don't even need any money. You just tell the guy,
mhm,
"Hey, as rent comes in, I'm paying you off." You pay off the guy, you pay off the credit card. Now you literally created an asset out of thin air. And now you're making $1,500 a month. Let's say in your area, that's $1,000 a month or $600 a month. You could make an extension off of somebody's home, build a room 12 by 10. That room can rent for 3, 4, 500 bucks a month. You don't need to buy somebody's house. Now, if you have the resources and you could team up with a friend or a family member to co-sign and buy a home, and if you can't even qualify because you don't show enough income, there's other ways, creative ways such as seller financing. Now you can get a property, live in the property, rent out the bedrooms, or in my primary residence, my mortgage is only $500. I live in a 3,000 square foot, 5 bed, 3 bath home with
mm.
on half an acre, and I this is my home office. It's a nice property. It's worth $600,000. My property taxes are $12,000 a year. I got a pool, I got a deck, and my mortgage is $500 a month. How did I do that? I converted the upstairs to an apartment. They pay me $1,500 a month. I
Mm.
had a shed on my property. I literally converted the shed into a studio apartment, and that just rented out 2 weeks ago for $1,400. So I'm collecting $2,900 a month. My mortgage is 3,400, but 29 minus 34, my mortgage is now $500, and I'm living in this huge, awesome house for less than $1,000 a month after all is said and done.
Dude, that is so cool. That's such a good way to be able to get into real estate without even having to buy a property, put money down. And like your first initial example, you did that to your mom's place all in 10 grand or so. And was 6 grand, 10 grand, let's call it 10 grand for easy math. 1,500 a month you're renting that place out for every single year. You're bringing in what does that bring you up to? 18 grand?
18,
Eight 18
18,000.
grand. That's 180% return year one on your money. I can't go find me a stock that performs that way. Go find me something else to invest in. I'm actually thinking about doing that with my dad's place right now, dropping about like 30 G's or so and converting his downstairs, the bottom of his house into an apartment. So that's cool that that's coming up. So we got two more questions here, and then we're gonna wrap this bad boy up. These are our final questions, actually. So, what is one actionable step that our listeners should take today to start on their path towards financial freedom?
I would say is get your money right. Get rid of all debt, bad debt, because
Mm,
there's good debt and there's bad debt. If you have credit card debt, get rid of it, pay it off. That's my advice. And when I say get your money right, there's a book called The Richest Man in Babylon. I highly
Mm.
recommend that book, and I highly recommend following that formula. The book gives you a formula on how to handle your money. When I say get your money right, I say use that formula to get your money right. So that's the actionable step that I would advise.
I like that. Do you remember what the formula is?
Yeah, so the formula is give away 10% of your income. Through giving, there is not only joy, but it really, when you give from the heart, it just comes back tenfold. It's
Mm.
multiplied. I've seen it in my life. I tithe, and I've never lacked. And at the end of the year, I look back and it's just, wow, what I gave it's been given back to me so much more. But make sure
Right.
that's not the reason you're giving. So 10% given away, 20% is to be saved and preserved. So with that 20%, that is not to be used for anything but in for the sole purpose of investing and capital preservation. The book guides you to what to invest in. Most of it is invest in what you know and do not lose that 20%. So conservative investments with the 20. And then the remaining 70% is to live off of. Now, I'm sure when that book was written or from the time that it tells the story, probably no taxes were being paid. My formula is a little different. I take 10% to give, 30% taxes, so that's 40%. And then usually I try to live on about 10 to 20% of my income and invest the rest. So I'm looking to invest anywhere from 40 to 50% of my income, at least in my 20s, so that by the time I'm 30, 40, I'm like autopilot.
That's the way we all want to be. And if you are just putting you in like my scenario, if you're 25 years old and single and like you don't have a lot of expenses, you own your car outright, you don't have student loans, anything like that. If you're even if you're only making 55, 60K a year, you should be able to cut your expenses down and save at least 40%, if not 50% of your income. If you could cut your expenses down to 3 grand per month, and I say this a lot, like if we can get our expenses down to 3K, 3,500, 4K, and that's just you, not with a family, because I know some people are like, you can't do that with a family. You could barely do that alone. 3K to 4K I think is fine for anybody our age who's fine with living below their means. You could build that in passive income relatively quickly. And you created that with your mom's place. You literally built $1,500 a month. That do that 3 times, 4 times, boom, you're already there. You're done. Next question. And our last question, what's one question that you wish I would have asked, or a topic that you wish I would have covered? And how would you have answered or expanded upon that topic?
That's a good question. What comes after financial freedom? Maybe purpose. What's our purpose? Once we're there, what happens next?
What does happen next?
Yeah, so a lot of things could happen next. I think we're living in a time right now where if we're not connected to something that's bigger than us, if we're not serving others, if we're not doing things that give us energy, I think it's very easy in this day and age to get depressed, have a bunch of negative thoughts, and be a negative person and be rude. And that's 80% of people out there. You go to the store and they don't smile anymore, they don't care anymore. And
Mm.
it's because most people just live in this robotic lifestyle routine. So I feel like what's next is just being a better person, connecting to that bigger, better source. For me, it's God, serving other people, and just being a genuinely good person that cares about people.
Dude, I love that. And Me reaching financial freedom, we were talking about this a little bit, but like I was never really a spiritual guy. I did my meditations, I did all that type of stuff to get my head, but never really dug in spiritually. And once I reached financial freedom and had all this time to spend elsewhere, like I felt myself tapping into that. And that's been something I've embraced fully, and it's made my life even better and made me happier. I think that is what's next. It gives you time to focus on the things that mean and bring love and joy and happiness into your life, and big meaningful things. But awesome conversations we've had today, man. I am really impressed with what you've built. You are killing the game. You're trying to do over a mil this year. You're 25 years old. You've got your passive income rolling. You're building a life for yourself and your family, which is amazing. Where can my listeners, watchers, if they have any questions or they want to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to find you online or to reach
Yeah, I'd say Instagram. I'm on there at william.odo.
William.odo on Instagram? Anywhere else?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook too. I should pop right up, William O'Donnell. I'm sure there's a lot of William O'Donnells, but I
Look up
don't know.
William O'Donnell Real Estate, and I'm sure it'll
Yeah,
something will pop up there.
that'll pop up
Good man.
in New York, Long Island, New York.
Long
Yeah,
Island. Cool, man. From the Financial Freedom Fast podcast, we really enjoyed having you on here today, man. Appreciate all the knowledge that you shared with us, and looking forward to getting you back on here in the future.
awesome. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, thanks, bro.